everyone, Jamie here from the NOIC Godcast, where we offer wacky wisdom weekly from God's Word. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the journey of submission. So we've been talking about submission this month, and I know in 25, this seems like a bad word. We definitely live in a self-centered society, and why would we ever put someone else's wants, needs, desires above our own, ahead of ourselves? That seems like it would be the opposite of what I would want. Wouldn't putting me first be the quickest and the best way to make me happy? I think right now there are two people thinking, like there's two different camps of people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's that is exactly how I feel. And they're like proud of it. Like, yes, I'm going to do it. She gets it. She gets it. I'm going to do what's best for me. And then there's some people thinking, I feel that way, but I wasn't going to say that out loud. That would make me look bad. So I think everybody has that in their head. It just depends on if you're proud of it or not. Yeah. Both camps of people are geared towards their own wants. Now, as most of you know, hopefully know, because I've been here for a while, I'm married. What? I know. It's been it'll be 6 years this year.
That's crazy.
I know, right? And while...
I think you have some brother and sister.
I know, right? But that would be weird. Kind of have 2 kids. We adopted them. It's fine. No. But while I got married relatively young at 23, I still had about 5 years of being an adult without being married. So in those 5 years, I got to, used to making my own decisions, everything that I wanted to do, what job I wanted, what friends I wanted to have, how I spent my free time. Overall, I just thought about myself and what would benefit me in the short term or the long term. Yes, I had family and different things that I had to work around. I was in church and different things like that. But I would say about 95% of the time, I was just thinking about me. And this was my normal. Then I got married. Now, suddenly, I, as someone that really only had to worry about me, now had to be submissive to another person. And to be honest, that transition was rough for me. Not because I didn't want to be a biblical wife. I knew that was the thing that I needed to, be, but because it was so out of character for me. I always have, and I still do consider myself to be a fairly logical, common sense type of person. So I was just used to making decisions because I felt like I was a smart person and I could handle it on my own. So it was a struggle to allow Jacob to be over me because I thought he couldn't do as good of a job as I would.
They say that, I don't know, it kind of makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. So people who, just in life are never in a submissive, position. Because if you think about just having a job, typically puts you in a submissive. Yes,
you have position. To go there when they tell you to go there.
Right. Exactly. So I think that our nature is obviously not submit, no surrender. Yeah. You know what I mean? Put that white flag away. You never need that. But I think that in life, in some ways, life forces you to be submissive. Yeah. But we accept it as life. Your boss can tell you what to do. Yeah. But
my husband's not going to tell me what to do.
Yeah. It's a totally different, wait, you're not my boss.
I think it's because it's societally normal. So it's what your culture's used to. Right. So everyone has jobs. Most people have jobs. Everyone understands the thought of, I can't do this thing because I have to work my 9 to 5. You know what I mean? Everyone understands that process. But when there's a option of not doing it. So I would say in a marriage situation, there is technically an option of not doing it, but it's just not going to work out. Right. It's not going to work for you. Mm-hmm. But I think you just automatically assume with a job, that's just how life is. That's just what you do, you know? Now, that's how I looked at for the first 2 years of our marriage, I was like, yeah, he's the head of the household, but I'm the one that actually knows what's going on. And if he says something that I don't like, then he's wrong and I have to get him to agree with me. Just let me tell you that was a miserable way to live. Miserable. I was constantly stressed and overwhelmed and could not understand why I wasn't content. Why was I so exhausted? Well, because I was not only trying to do my job, I was trying to take Jacob's job as well. And because I was trying to do both, neither were getting done correctly. My job as a wife was suffering because I was too focused on doing Jacob's job, and Jacob's job was not getting done because he had to constantly fight me to get it back. Then finally one day it clicked. You're miserable because you're trying to be something that you were never meant to be. You are trying to take on way more than what God has ever called you to be. And ever since that day, I have been striving to be a good, submissive wife to Jacob. Now, does that mean that I'm a doormat? No, absolutely not. The difference is that he's the final decision maker. He is the one that makes the standards for our home. I can still voice my thoughts, and he takes my wants, my thoughts, my desires into account when making the decisions. But ultimately, he is going to choose the choice that is closest to the will of God and what is best for our family as a whole. This is the way that it is with God. We spend so much time in our lives making our own decisions. Then when it comes down to submitting to God, it feels totally wrong. It feels like it's totally against everything that we have ever done before. And for a time, we buck up against it as much as we can. And then we ultimately end up exhausted, worn out. And honestly, it feels like we can never keep up with the Christian life, which newsflash, without God, we can't. But there gets to a point where you're just done, utterly tired, and you can't go on. Then God just ever so graciously picks you up and says, you weren't created to carry all of this. You are trying to do your job, my job, and honestly, you're terrible at it. He shows you that he is the one to make the final decisions in your life.
I think that, that is 100% biblically accurate. Mm-hmm. But again, our sinful nature, our pride, is telling us no, you can make your own decisions.
And you think you're doing a good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the world is also pushing you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when we vent about these things to other people, very few people sit back and say, Jamie, you should listen to Jacob.
Yeah.
He could be right.
Yeah.
It's always girl, don't let that man tell you what to do.
Yep.
You work too hard in your life
to
have a man tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And that is it's our flesh is screaming, do what you want to do.
We're constantly entitled.
Yeah.
We're constantly entitled to what we want, our wants, our desires, and everything. And that's the thing is he knows exactly what we need. God knows exactly what we need. Mm-hmm. Now, again, you can talk to God. Honestly, he wants you to talk to him. Yeah. He wants you to tell him your thoughts, your wants, your desires. God doesn't just sit in heaven I wonder how I can ruin Jamie's life today. He is always choosing the option that is going to bring me closer to him and that is best for my life and what brings him glory. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's the thing that people don't understand is that you can't that's the whole, if God just had everything laid out and you weren't supposed to have a relationship with it all and it was just going to go the way that he wanted it to go regardless, why would he want you to pray to him? Why would he want you to talk to him? Now he knows your thoughts and wants and desires, but he wants you to tell him. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how all things work. I'm not a theologian on other things, but I do know that there have been times in the Bible that God was going to do something, and because somebody prayed something, he changed the way that it was going to go. The Abraham, was it Abraham?
Talk about that, kept asking for
if there was this amount of people in the city,
this many, at least be this many,
and you know what I mean, that type of a thing. And so it's that whole thing of, you're supposed to go to God with those things. You're supposed to go with your wants, your thoughts and desires, but he ultimately makes the decision. You're allowed to say, Or, honestly, there's times that Jacob makes a decision. I'm not 100% happy with it, but I know it's the best decision because of what he's got in front of him. He's making that decision. That's how God is too. You don't have to be 100% happy with every decision that God makes in your life, but you have to accept it. You have to allow it to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be like, listen, there's death, there's sicknesses, there's losses of people in general, losses of relationships, losses of jobs. There's a lot of things that are going to happen in life, and you're not going to like it, but it's what's best for you. It's the thing that's going to bring you closer to him, that's going to teach you your character development.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the thing is when you're submitting to God, it's going to be the best option. And truly and honestly, you're not, even if you wanted to have control of that, you don't. So you're making yourself worn out. You're tired. You're like feeling like you can't do this life because you're doing way too much.
Yeah. You're trying to like, I guess with Jacob, it's like two human beings trying to figure it out.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But
So,
with God, it's different.
Right. Yeah, God is like totally different. It's like, not only does he know the way, he made the way for us to travel.
Yep.
So like it's interesting how the human brain works because like you can ask someone, like, do you want these things in your life? You know, like, do you want happiness, peace, joy, contentment? And they're going to check yes every single time.
Yep.
And then you get to the end and say, well, that's what God wants from you. All you have to do is submit to God. And then all of a sudden, that list that they agreed to is no longer, it's the same list.
Yeah.
And their wants and desires haven't, they still want those things.
Yep.
Okay. It's just they're not willing to submit to gain those things.
Yep.
And it's lesson one out of Satan's, playbook.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like he tempted Eve basically to become her own God.
Yep.
And that is our struggle is we want to call the shots.
Yep. 100%. It's the human nature, but that's not what God called us to be.
Right.
God called us to submit to him, to let him carry that load. And it's not going to be hunky-dory for us, but we're going to have so much peace and contentment inside of the things, even when they're awful. But yeah. You have something to add?
Did a good job.
I'm glad that you got that drink of water.
I was wondering if it would make a difference. I'm like, she doesn't talk much anyway. So.
Just in case.
Yeah, okay. Got to be ready.
Yeah.
I don't know who this person is.
Shocker.
They
probably made the dip.
They probably did make the dip today. The more you pray, the less you panic. The more you worship, the less you worry.
Absolutely.
And I have no idea who that is. So good job, whoever that was. Today's featured content is Whatever Your Plan Is by Josie
Buchanan.
Is it Buchanan? Yeah.
Cool. That's not how I would have said it.
Yeah, I would have Buchanan. Yeah, I don't think I ever read it out loud.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
I've never heard of that person, so.
I actually don't know who I just seen it came across my playlist this week. And I was like, I like that one. Oh. All right. This is you, Kevin.
Last week's trivia.
Last week's trivia. Submit to God and be at peace with him. In this way, prosperity will come to you is found in which book of the Bible?
Which one was it?
I don't remember.
I thought it was being dramatic.
Yeah, I know. I was like, we're getting drum roll. Or you got to look it up.
I'm going to say James.
CJ's going to look it up. Go, CJ, go.
Go, CJ, go.
Yeah, if you just copy it and paste it into Google, it'll tell you. Job 22:21. So B.
I was like, was that an option?
B, Job.
That's an option. That'd been funny if it wasn't. But Job, B. So if you got that, good job.
Good job.
You did good things. All right, this week's trivia. On which day do many people give up on their New Year's resolutions, informally known as Quitter's Day? So A, the first Friday of January. B, the second Friday of January. C, the first Friday of February. Or D, the second Friday of February.
I've never even heard of that before. But I have an idea.
You have an idea. All right. Happy birthday this week to Weston Blanton, MJ Bloss, Benson Paul, Trisha Tuggle, Amelia King, Madeline Wilson, Bob Mills, and Shirley Justice. You guys have a great week. Enjoy yourself. Eat some birthday cake. Get some ice cream. Get a free crumble cookie.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
That's a thing. You got to sign up for it, though. I don't think we have any mail.
I saw a little skit this week from Blue's Clues. You know, we just got a letter.
Yeah.
We just got a letter.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from.
Paul.
Oh.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. But yeah, so I think that's everything for today. Thank you guys for joining us today. And like, comment, subscribe, share things that you do on social media. And we will see you guys next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
You grab our cups.
Also,
Right, they won't know what podcast this is.
is this goodness gracious?
Oh, yeah.
All right, remember we got to pick it up
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
and then put it down.
That's where I would put mine down naturally.
They're in a nice diagonal.